Okay, so to start off our statistics chapter, we're talking about measures of center. So, measures of center, also known as the measures of central tendency, are what are called descriptive statistics. Spelled D-E-S-C-R-I-P-T-I-V-E. Descriptive statistics. And all it's really trying to do here is summarize the data. For example, if I just printed out all of the test scores from that test on Friday and just laid them out, one, that would be a huge violation of y'all's confidentiality, but two, it really wouldn't tell you a whole lot. I mean, you could see what everybody made, you could see what you made, but you wouldn't know whether or not it was good or bad compared to everybody else's. And so what we do here is we summarize that by one of three ways, either the mean, median, or mode. The mean is the average. Data value, which is found by adding all the data together and then dividing. And that's actually how we find your grades in classes. Like in PowerSchool, if it says you got an 80, that's because I added up all of your grades and then divided by how many assignments were posted there. The median is just the middle value of an ordered set of data. By ordered, I mean it needs to be in order from least to greatest or greatest to least, so that you can find the number in the dead center. And then the mode is the most common. Data that repeats more than any others. And there can be one mode, there can be two modes, there can be many, or there can be none. And the whole point of these three ideas here is to give you an idea of what is typical within a data set. What's a typical test score, or a typical height for a freshman, or something like that. Let's look at our first example. Ms. Abbott's class's third grade reading test scores are displayed below. So, good thing is we got them in order from greatest to lowest, or highest to lowest. To find the mean, we got a lot of button pushing to do. First thing I'd like you to do, go ahead and reset your calculator. To do that, you're going to press second, the plus sign, 712. It'll take you to this screen that says RAM cleared. What we're doing here is just making sure that nothing that happened in my first period or in classes beforehand is going to affect what you're typing in. And again, to do that, you press second plus 712. Okay, and now we're going to add all of those test scores together. 100 plus 100 plus 95 plus 90 plus 90. Be careful that you don't make a typo, because one little typo is going to throw your numbers off. So when I added all those grades together, I got 1,400. Is that what y'all got? Yeah. And then it looks like there are 20 people in that class, so I'm going to divide by 20. I get 70. The average test grade was a 70. Sound okay so far? I want you to keep in mind, that was 20 grades. That took a lot of button pushing. Imagine if we wanted to find the average of 500 grades. Okay, the median, it's the middle value. So, to find that, whenever you've got them already in order, you can just cross out the highest and the lowest. And then the next highest and the next lowest. It's kind of like we're bouncing from one end to the other, because we want to work our way to the middle. But we do end up with a conundrum here. Because there are 20 grades, if I'm looking for the one in the dead center, I'm looking for the number between the 10th and the 11th grade. Do you remember what we do if we end up with two numbers in the middle? Yeah, you just find the average. Let's write that down here. The median of an even data set is the average of the two middle values. So we're really looking for the number between 75 and 70. So just add them together and then divide by 2. You get the median is 72.5. The mode is pretty easy to find, especially if the numbers are in order again, because we're just looking for the number that repeats itself more than any others. I see two 100s, I see two 90s, I see four 75s, a couple 70s, a couple 65s, and a couple 45s. But 75 appears more frequently than any other number, so 75 is the mode. Does that seem okay? Okay, again, I want you to imagine that we've got 500 numbers or 1,000 numbers. A big part of this chapter is going to be being able to use technology to make this a little bit quicker. Now, it is a little bit of button pushing. Most of these values can quickly be determined by using your calculator's one variable statistics feature. It's really helpful for large sets of data like the one below to get a one variable statistics report. So I need everybody with me on this. We're going to be looking at example 2 here. The number of Atlantic hurricanes that made landfall for the past 2 decades is shown. So like last year, there was one hurricane that actually made landfall. 2022, there was only one. In 2021, there were 2. In 2020, there were 6. What we're going to do is we're going to press the Stat button. It's right here towards the top in the middle. It'll take you to this screen. On that screen, you're going to select the first option, Edit. And it should take you to an empty table. Anybody need help getting here? Again, you're pressing Stat, and then the first option, Edit. So that first bullet point says Stat, first option, Edit, and then type all the data values into the L1 column. So be careful. We're not typing in the years 2004, 2005, and 2006. Otherwise, it's going to find the average of those years. We're typing in these numbers. In 2004, there were 6 hurricanes that made landfall. So 6, enter. 6, enter. 0, enter. 1, enter. 3, enter. And so on. Just be really, really careful as you're typing these in. For a second there, I've made a typo, and I had said that in 2017 there were 32 hurricanes because I hadn't hit enter between 2017 and 2018. Now, one thing I want you to notice is that This says L1 parentheses 21. That means, hey, what's the 21st number? But we only have 20 numbers here because we've got 2 decades worth of stuff. So a good check to say, hey, did I maybe type in too many numbers or not enough numbers? Is the last number, L1 parentheses 20? Yeah, I've typed in 20 numbers. Anybody can help getting these typed in? Okay. Second bullet point says press the Stat button again and then go right to the Calc menu. So when you press the Stat button, on this screen, there's a Calc menu in the middle. You just press the right arrow key to get over there. And then select that first option, 1 var stats. It'll take you to this screen. You usually really don't need to worry about playing with this screen. Just go down, hit enter, enter, enter to calculate, and it'll take you to this screen. And it should match up with what I've got printed here. So if you don't have the 1.95, 39, 151, that is going to be because you made a typo at some point. So just got to go back and double check. But there's a lot of numbers here, and you actually can scroll down to see more. So 2 numbers that I really want to highlight today are this number, the X with the little line over it, that is called X bar. That number is your mean. That very first number is telling you the average. So there's an average of 1.95 hurricanes that make landfall every year over the last 20 years. So I'm going to go ahead and write X bar equals 1.95. The other number that I want to highlight is our median, which is, you have to scroll down to see it, MED equals 1.5. Now we're going to work with some of these other numbers here in a little while, not today though, but another one that I want to point out, this next one, that weird looking EX, that is just your total. That weird looking E, don't laugh because y'all's generation has changed the meaning of this word, is the letter sigma. Okay? Sigma in math, look at all y'all smiling like sigma. Sigma in math means the sum. And so it just means that there is a total of 39 hurricanes listed here. And then N equals 20 is the number of years, which is how many data points. Because we typed in 20 years worth of information in a 20. You may be thinking, wait a minute, where's mode? The answer is your calculator does not tell you what the mode is. So, even though the calculator won't display the mode, you can make it easier on yourself by sorting the data. You can do that by pressing Stat, selecting either the second or third options, and then telling it which list to sort. Now, another thing you can do is do this by hand. Like, how many years had 0 hurricanes make landfall? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many years had 1 hurricane make landfall? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many years had 2 hurricanes make landfall? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see. Years that had 3 hurricanes make landfall. 1, 2. Years that had 4 hurricanes. No, there's actually none. 5, there's none. 6, there's 1, 2, 3. It's just a little tally system. Not that hard if you have a smaller set of data with just 20 values here. So wait, what is the mode? Which one repeats more than the others? I've got 5 zeros and 5 ones and 5 twos. The mode is really the modes are 0, 1, and 2. Be careful, it's not 5, that's just a tally of how many times I saw 0, how many times I saw 1, how many times I saw 2. I want to go back to this sort A, sort D thing real quick. If you go back to stat, and you select either the second or third option, it does not matter. Sort A means sort in ascending order from least to greatest. Sort D means sort in descending order from greatest to least. Hit enter and it'll take you back to the home screen. Then you need to tell it, what am I sorting? Well, in that stat edit, you were typing all of these in a column called L1. That means our first list of numbers. So whenever I say sort D, I need to tell it list 1, which is in blue above the number 1 button here. So I'm going to hit second 1. When I do that, it'll just say done. When I go back and check my stat edit, now all my numbers are in order. That'll also help you find the median if you want to do it by hand. Because if I was going through these hurricanes and crossing out 6 and 1 and 6 and 1 and 0 and 2 and 1 and 6, actually I would get the wrong answer for the median. Any questions on this so far, y'all? Can I get a scale of 1 to 5? How are we feeling? Okay, this is a lot of button pushing, I understand that. Let's look at one more on the back. This is a different way of displaying the data called a dot plot. And how you read this. This is describing how many tips Rodney got on his last shift. Because there's 1 dot above the 5, that means 1 person left him a $5 tip. Because there's 2 dots above the 6, that means 2 people left him a $6 tip. 5 people left him an $8 tip, 3 people left him a $9 tip, and so on. One of these is really easy to answer. What's the mode? 8. It's the one that has the highest bar. If I laid out all these numbers end to end, I would see 8 repeated more than any other. So let's figure out the mean and the median using our calculator. So I need you to go back to stat and back to edit. Now, do not use the delete button. It'll mess up all of your math going forward from here. Okay? If you use the delete button, we can fix it. But what I need you to do is press the up arrow so that you're highlighting the L1 and hit clear and enter. When you hit clear and enter, it'll clear out that list for you. And now we got to type in the data from this dot plot, which is 5, 6, 6, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 9, 9, 9, and so on. If you count up the number of dots, there are 20 dots total. And that last number I typed in is the 20th number. So that tells me that I've typed in the correct number of numbers. That also tells me that in total, Anthony, I don't know why I said Anthony. That name is Rodney right there. Rodney waited on 20 tables and got 20 tips. Anybody need help getting here? Then we're going to go stat, go over to calc, and go to that one variable stats and hit enter 3 times. His average tip was 9.35, $9.35. And scroll down to see the median was just $9. So again, if you didn't get those numbers, it's not the end of the world. It just means you made a typo somewhere. Any questions, y'all? Now, as we're going through these, I do want you to be thinking, we're talking about the center, the middle of the data. We get 3 different numbers here. So which one is most representative? Like if you were hiring somebody and they asked, what's the most common tip that you get? You got 3 different numbers here. The average tip for that night was $9.35. The middle tip was $9, but the most common tip was $8. Okay, I want you to take a few minutes and try 4 and 5. Number 4, be careful as you're typing these numbers in, okay? And again, I'm going to go back to Stat, Edit, and then go up to L1, hit Clear, Enter. I'm going to pause the video for about 10 minutes. See if you can try the last couple. I'm going to go ahead and put the answers down for number 4. So first off, I had to double, triple, quadruple check that I didn't make a typo because I got a different answer than what I was expecting from my answer key over here. So I had made a typo. The mean amount that Jackie's consignment store made is $175.21. Now there's other decimals there, but I'm just going to round it off to 2 decimals because we're talking about money. And when I scroll down, I get 150.91. For the mode, do you see any numbers that repeat? I mean, down to the cent, no, there's no numbers that repeat here. There's just no mode. How do you do what now?
How do you read it? Because I know what you told me to that at a given situation.
There is no mode.
Yeah, but for the other one.
She's asking how you read the calculator to put it on. Like, how do you know which one's
How do I know which ones are these 2 answers?
Yeah.
Okay. The very first one, X with a little line over it, that is your mean.
Yeah, I know that. That's the road. I know.
You're asking about the mode?
Yeah.
Your calculator won't tell it to you.
Then why did
It's just not on here. The only thing that your calculator is helpful for with the mode is putting the numbers in order, so at least if the number repeats, it's going to be side by side with another number. Okay, take a few more minutes and try number 5. Now right off the top with number 5, do you see what the mode is? What is it? 1. Why do you think it's 1?
Because there's more shading.
Because it's the highest rectangle. By the way, this graph could be called a bar graph or bar chart, but it's also called a histogram. Histogram, which we'll talk more about later in this chapter. Okay. So first off, when you're typing in the data from this bar graph or histogram, if there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks for the number 1, you got to type in the number 1 5 times in a row. And then 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, and so on. Okay? Stat, calc, 1 variable stats. You get that the mean is about 4.04. And the median is 4. Of course, the mode is just 1. Any questions on mean, median, and mode?
No.
Okay, I'm going to skip example 6 just for today, and we'll come back to it another time. I just want to skip it because it doesn't really fit in with the rest of this. It's talking about the mean or the average, but this is a different type of question. But I will say this is a really good EOC question. Also, an ACT question.
Oh, so on the test, I didn't
Any questions about this first? Okay, go ahead and put this paper in your notebook.